big g'day and welcome to the RDFNL footy show previewing week one of the finals here with the great man Shorty. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. We thought this worked okay last week, so we better have another crack at it this week.
Yeah, well, we looked at the views and they were into the hundreds, so it was all right.
They were. It was very good.
It was going off just like the first week of the finals, mate. And
We saw everything. A big weekend. Had absolutely everything we could have asked for over the weekend. We had close games. We had everything. It was great.
And we got good to see a little bit of controversy there.
Yes. We won't touch obviously on that too much,
obviously.
but good to see that everything was alive and well in the first week of the RDFL finals this week.
Exactly, mate. And over at Wallen is where the qualifying final senior footy was played, mate. And what an interesting game that one was between the Burrows and the Bombers.
It was indeed. I think 4 points in the end. Diggers Rest getting over the line in what was a close game all day, and really good game of footy from all reports, and just one of those real finals type battles as well, where every possession was just fought for valiantly, and in the end Diggers Rest getting up and winning through to a second semi-final.
Yeah, certainly magnificent performance. I was watching the tape at the start of the week and just noticing all the torrential rain that really pounded the ground over the course of the day, and a bit of excitement, but a lot of hard pressure, and then Manny Panuccio there for the Bombers.
The Nooch.
The Pooch, he went down sort of late in the last quarter there, and after talking to Troy Scoble, the Bombers coach, he sort of felt that might have taken away a bit of the momentum. He was perhaps one of the better players on the day, and unfortunately his season is done and dusted for the young 18-year-old there with medial ligament damage. But Jamie Lobb ended up kicking the winning goal off the ground there late in the moments for the Burrows.
Yep.
Jason Williams, simply sensational from all reports, mate.
Yeah, great to see Jason Williams and Jamie Lobb up and about as well. Lobb obviously coming into the Diggers Rest side this year has made a huge difference, and his experience at this time of year cannot be understated. He's been there and done it several times at major league level with the Sunbury Lions, so he knows what it needs. He knows the standard that needs to be lifted to play footy at this time of year. So some really good leadership with Diggers Rest at the moment. Riddle, not all doom and gloom. The loss of Matty Panuccio will hurt them because he's been fantastic this year, but they live to fight another day, so it's still all okay in Riddle, and obviously 4 points difference between the second semi and the first semi-final. It's a bit hard to swallow sometimes when it comes down to the finals.
Especially when your two leading goal kickers, Brian Ruffle and James Nolan, don't register anything, and Big Ruff was off the bag, off a 12-goal ban.
Yeah, and that's full credit to the Diggers Rest defenders for shutting them down like that, and we know that defensive style is what Diggers Rest and Shaun Sims have employed in finals in previous years past, and has done pretty well for them. They used it in the grand final last year to pretty good effect for probably two and a half quarters before Romsey broke away from them. So now they're in the box seat, Diggers Rest. Now they get two chances to go through to their third consecutive grand final and hopefully break that drought.
Something to do about the Burrows in the first week of the finals, topping the Bombers who finished minor premiers. That's not the first time in the last few years where it's happened. So congratulations there to the Burrows. And for the Bombers, my favourite player, or probably of the game itself that I'm really impressed that's in good form, is Sean the Doc Neeson. Kicked 3 goals for the second week running. He has the potential to do that every week. I'm glad he stepped up and did that on the weekend again.
And he could be a real X factor for the rest of this final series. We know, again, like Jamie Lobb, another player that's gotten it done at this time of the year before, and we know how good a player Doc is when he's on song, and if he can get things going in the next couple of weeks, he could be a big determinant as to whether Riddle will get another chance to make Diggers Rest this year.
Now, the first elimination final, I think, caused a few surprises.
Wow,
The Broadford 8-3-51 defeating Rupertswood 5-7-37 by 14 points there, but the margin realistically didn't reflect the Broadford's dominance on the day.
The margin, I was watching this game on the live scores all day, and the margin, especially to the end, it kept creeping closer and closer and closer, and not being at the ground and watching the live scores, you worried whether Broadford would be able to hang on, but they did. They led all day. They led from go to woe, got over the line, and so much for third being the great spot to finish in the finals every year. We spoke about it a couple of times this year, that there are years where 6 beat third, and all of a sudden third becomes a real stinkies type place to finish in the top 6 final setup, and that's exactly what's happened this year.
Certainly hasn't, fitting for Broadford as well. They say anything can happen in finals, and this is what happened. This is the first time they've beaten a team inside the top 7, and to do it in the finals, and to realistically to do it so comfortably as well. It was a 14-point margin, but just in general play, they really did. They were physically intimidating. They really had Rupertswood's measure. Rupertswood really went in the contest. Josh Pound kicked the goal inside the first few minutes. They were 7 points up.
How was Rupertswood's headspace on the day is what I want to know. How was their body language? How did they look running out onto the ground?
I must admit I didn't really notice them running out onto the ground because as we were sort of wrapping up proceedings with the reserves, but I think they might have just had the feeling that they might have been able to go out there and do it quite confidently.
That's what I was worried about, that sometimes with clubs, especially in the 3v6 game, that third team can just go through and think all we need to do sometimes is go through the motions, win this game, and sometimes they're already thinking double chance second semi-final when you finish in third spot. Maybe that could have been Rupert Wood's downfall. Fortunately, that leaves a pretty bad legacy for the Rupert Wood Footy Club at the moment. Top 2 finished last year, top 3 finished this year, nothing to show from it.
It's insane, and considering this game, I was astounded to find the stat that this was whoever won that game was going to win their first final in the RDFNL, and Broadford were the one to get the job done. I spoke to people before the game who just happened to be around the Broadford rooms beforehand. They just had the feeling that they were going to be hot on Rupert Wood from the get-go, just be there physically intimidating, and that's exactly what they showed from the first bounce, and they took that all the way through to the game there. Josh Pound, I think he kicked about 3 goals on the day.
Yep.
He was our Hangrock Winery Highlands FM player of the day. Darren McGovern, he kicked a couple of goals there, worked really hard across half-back. He kicked one that just sort of skidded through to get their first goal in the second term. And but Brody Holland, he definitely showed his experience. He was the workhorse across half-back there, and Reece Smith was simply sensational. Just shut Lee Brennan completely out of the game.
And you could see, even last week when you went out to Broadford, and we saw it on the website, that they had a confidence that they thought that they weren't just making up the numbers in this final series. They're going to go in there, and if they were on their game, they could do some damage, and that's exactly what happened. So full credit to Broadford, a great win.
Certainly, and Corey Vianney come off the ground with an ankle injury after the game, which was a shame because he was in Hangrock Winery contention, and I managed to catch up with him on Sunday. He went for scans earlier on in the week, and he didn't believe it was sort of structural damage, more so ligament damage. So fingers crossed it's just a little bit of bruising, and he may be able to come back this week.
Strap it up and get out there, Star.
Exactly, that's what he was sort of saying. It just that's his mindset. So hopefully all goes well, and he can be out on the track this week against the other Bombers. The other game, sort of look at Romsey 12-3-75 defeating Macedon 8-9-57 by 3 goals in a shortened game. We won't go into too much detail what happened there. But the Redbacks, they just was business as usual in the first quarter, and then the Cats just kept coming back.
Yeah, another game again, watching on the live scores all weekend, and it surprised me how close this game was until it seemed almost that third quarter, and then Romsey put the foot down a little bit and took away from it. And great win by Romsey, getting into it. Now they've come from 4th on the ladder, where we were thinking, hang on a second, the reigning premier's 4th. They're going to have to go through elimination finals all the way through. Now they've won that game, they've got themselves back into that second semi-final position. They know they've got 2 cracks to make a grand final now, and that's a very, very dangerous position to have to face Romsey in.
It certainly has, and I think particularly on the day itself, Romsey didn't have too many standout contributors. They worked really well as a team. Obviously, a lot of pressure there from the Cats, who they played like a team possessed. It was more. I think the Cats had more standouts, but we knew at the end of the day, just sort of looking through when we were calling the game itself, that Macedon had to play at their best, but in a heartbeat, Romsey could turn the game on its head.
And Mitch sounds exactly what happened. Macedon were fantastic, but Romsey just took it away from him.
Exactly. Mitch Farmer kicked 2 goals late in the third quarter, just in the space of a few minutes, and all of a sudden the game was back on equal pegging. So it was fantastic, and also very interesting with the netball as well.
Over a great netball game.
A grade. I'll tell you what. A Riddle, 26-goal winners over Rupert. Spoke to, I got to meet Miss McCormack on Sunday, had the pleasure there, and I think she was pretty stunned with how the Sharks went there. The Bombers were just too good. Yeah,
they were. They've been fantastic all year. Both teams have, and again, Rupert's were just sat back on their heels a little bit, and now they go into a first semi-final, and facing Lansfield. How was that result? Romsey and Lansfield, what a game that was in the second elimination final. 4th versus 5th, and even the first elimination final, it was only 5 goals between Macedon and the Melton Centrals, but now the scenario we've got with the A-grade netball is that both of the premiers from the last 2 years, Romsey and Melton Centrals, hit the showers. It's going to be an all-new setup. Obviously, Riddle taking on Macedon in the second semi, which we'll talk about later in the week. Rupert's Wood taking on Lansfield, but geez, there were some good games in netball this weekend, and that Romsey-Lansfield game was fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, Lansfield stunned the Redbacks. They were 3 goals up at half-time, and there was just this feeling around the camp. I spoke to a few Romsey supporters, and they were getting a little bit nervous, and deservedly so there, because Lansfield, they basically come from nowhere to make themselves a massive force in this competition.
Yeah, the huge improvement improvers in the league this year, Lansfield on the netball stakes. Well done to Alan Watson and all the team out at Lansfield, getting the job done in the first week of the finals. They're the fairy tale story of the netball, much like Broadford are in the footy. It's that same kind of thing at the moment where they've come from back in the pack in previous years, got themselves into the finals, and then managed against the odds really to win that first final.
Absolutely. The other game of big interest on the weekend there, before we wrap things up, under 18.5s, the qualifying final, Rupert's Wood v Wood End Heskett.
Yes.
Wood End Heskett, they came in the second term. They trailed by about 5 goals.
Yeah.
They just kept pushing, and I think they kicked 4 goals in 6.5 minutes, which resulted in the second quarter going for about 34 minutes. Just goals, and more goals. And they had a few opportunities late in the game. I think they kicked the last 3 points of the game, and then Rupert's were able to sort of lock them off, and then ended up winning by 9 points.
Yeah,
so,
my man, the top knot, Bailey Rebel, getting the job done with 4 goals as well.
Absolutely, and still very stiff not to get a post-game interview from
Yes.
that's Ellie. But one of my favourite players in this competition, Dan Kavanagh. Admire the leadership of this kid, the way he goes about things, and I think it's just, I speak about it with a lot of people, just what he does to this competition. I love watching him in the middle of the ground while the ball's inside their forward line, and he's instructing the guys, building that wall across the back line. You see his arms moving, the yap going on, and that's fantastic. He's not the captain of the Rupert's Wood under 18.5 team, but he brought the boys into the end of the game.
Spiritual leader.
And that's fantastic. That's what you need more around the club.
It is, and look, what this shows is that Rupert's Wood can be challenged in the finals, which we haven't seen. Obviously, last year the question mark over Rupert's Wood was all up here because of what had happened the year before, where they got through to the grand final and got rolled by Riddle. This year it's all the same. It's the same thing again. And what Rupert's Wood, what Wood End Heskett showed on the weekend is that they're a big chance. And what Riddle showed us on the weekend as well is that they're now in a position where they're getting dangerous. Jared Gardner, another 9 goals on the weekend as well, absolutely flying at the moment. And I believe another one pretty keen for a post-match interview on Highlands FM as well.
Absolutely, mate. Although he did, I think he missed 8 as well. So he kicked 9 goals, 6 and 2
goals,
fell short. So, and that was after 13 the previous week as well. But this is good to see some of these young kids through. And we appreciate, I'll speak on behalf of the Highlands FM team, the cooperation, the sportsmanship that all the other clubs sort of show us to enable us to bring something new to the competition, and that's what it's fantastic. So we're really wrapped about that.
It is, mate. Great first week of the finals and a pretty good wrap up, I reckon, today as well.
Oh, absolutely, mate. We'll fire up. It's going to be a fantastic build up in towards week 2 of the finals.